Hyundai brought us the 8th generation Sonata for the 2020 model year and updated it for the 2024 model year, giving us sharper styling and new tech. Let's take a closer look. Oftentimes when you see a mid-cycle update, the changes are pretty subtle. Not here. The Sonata has a drastically different looking front end with this really nice, sharp and clean horizontal light bar that runs clean across the front of the car. The headlights have been pushed much lower. They're now down here. The grille is a very different shape, also wider than before. And then you have elements that just push your eye lower and lower, and it just keeps coming out nice and wide. And we have larger air intakes off to the side and some interesting polished metal elements right here that come down and come across the side here as well. I think this is a big improvement over the last front end. Not that the last one was bad, but this one looks sharp and clean and sleek in my opinion. It's a nice big change. And while the hood itself does not look drastically different, I still want to show you what's underneath it. Well, there it is, your 2-liter hybrid engine with a total system output of 192 horsepower. You do get this really interesting long and flat looking air intake right here. Comes off over to the side. Here's your air box, travels around, but the throttle body's all the way down there. So the air has a really interesting path, and it looks like it has a couple of spots to quiet the air down as you go. The shroud right here does say HEV, hybrid vehicle, and it is SmartStream technology. Next to the engine is this massive hunk of electronics here for your hybrid system. That's interesting to see. I like the fact that it's labeled motor HSG right there to give you just a little bit of a sense of what's going on here. I think that's really nice. The front axle center line is right around here, right about the front of the strut tower brace here, going just past the back of these massive wiring harnesses here. So the vast majority of the engine is ahead of the front axle center line. Not great for weight distribution, but I have seen worse, and no, this is definitely not a sports car, so not the end of the world. I don't see a battery under here, but I do see positive right here, so if you need to jump, it looks like you remove this fuse box and access, big massive battery terminals right here. So that's interesting to see that. Your ABS pump is tucked way in the back down here. And yes, windshield washer fluid is easy to get to here on the passenger side, right up front. Easy. Looking at the car in profile, it definitely carries that 4-door coupe kind of shape. You have this pretty steeply raked windshield up to the sloping roof line that just carries down, down, and down, and basically never stops till you get to the very rear of the car. Steeply raked rear windshield as well, and even the trunk has a slope to it until you get to this little baked-in integrator spoiler right here. I do appreciate this little cutout in the front quarter panel that turns into character lines that run across through the doors right to the back to the taillights. I think that's a nice design element and an interesting touch. Also, here's a fun fact. There's a turn indicator built into the quarter panel right here. That's for hybrid trim Sonatas only. You do have this gloss black at the base of the side view mirror covers, and then again down here at the rockers, and it comes out here just look a little bit sportier and more aggressive as the door itself tucks in. You do have a nice polished metal for the window trim, but then more gloss black for the pillar covers right there. There is a lot going on when you look at this car in profile, but I think it's nicely executed. All in all, it's a nice looking car. And it's a nice looking car that is in the Portofino gray color, which is one of the standard colors for the Sonata. And I will go ahead and put the dimensions up on the screen right now so you can check those out and let you know that I have a lot more information in the description. For the Sonata Hybrid, the only wheel size you can get are 17-inch wheels right here. But if you go with the internal combustion Sonata, you can get up to 19s on the end line. But considering that this is a hybrid, this is definitely one of the more aerodynamic, lower friction kind of wheel designs, but also I'd say a good looking wheel design. And yeah, these tires are definitely low rolling resistance, all seasons, not the grippiest things in the world. And yes, this is a square setup. The wheels and tires in back are the same size as what's in front. While not as drastic a change as the front end, the taillights are certainly quite a bit different. You have this H that runs right across the entire width, built into the tail lamps here. I think that's a nice touch. I do like this integrated spoiler built into the back of the trunk lid. I think it's subtle and clean and just adds that tiny little bit of sportiness. Also, you have these nice little interesting subtle shark fin louvers on either side here and here. And yeah, I think that looks pretty interesting. Hyundai is certainly not shy to tell you it's a Sonata, and you have more interesting design as you go lower as well, with these cutouts right here and a faux diffuser right here. And finally, I appreciate the fact that there's no fancy faux exhaust or anything. You just have one tailpipe under here, nice and clean, just as it should be. Standard on the Limited Sonata is what they call a full power trunk, and there is a button right here. And there you go. Full power trunk, lovely. And of course, you can close it as well. On the other Sonata trims, it is a hands-free trunk. The sun is nice and bright, so I'm actually going to switch to a different camera to show you that you have 16 cubic feet of space in the trunk, a nice low loading floor, and a nice wide space. And if you lift right here, easy access to a bit more storage and no spare tire, but a tire mobility kit instead. And if you need additional room and don't have to carry any passengers in the second row, that is easy to do. Pull a couple levers and you have a lot more than 16 cubic feet of storage and room for you and a passenger. All right, let's check out those back seats. The interior of this Sonata is tan, and I appreciate that. Really, it's two-tone. There's plenty of black in there, but I appreciate that it's not all black. I am 5 feet 11 inches or 181 centimeters tall, and I would say I have about 4 inches of knee room, which is pretty good. The seat bottoms are decently high, so I have pretty good thigh support as well. I do have headroom, not much, maybe about a half an inch to an inch of headroom, but that's despite the fact that we do have a panoramic sunroof in here. So I'm actually pretty impressed with that. And I also have less than a 90-degree bend in my knees. I also have 2 USB Type-C ports, a manual sunshade right there, which is really nice for this nice sunny day, and of course an armrest with cup holders. So yeah, man, life is good back here. All right, let's go to the front. In the 2024 Hyundai Sonata, you can get what they call a digital key 2, which means that without the key, with your smartphone, you could unlock, lock, and start the car. And that now applies for Android and Apple devices. So that's nice to know. Here is another look at that tan and black interior. And because this is a limited trim, we do have a 12-speaker Bose sound system. And right next to that, you can see that we also have 2-position seat memory right there. That's just above the usual controls you get on the door there, and another big pocket there at the base. We do have this nice little metal Sonata kick plate right here. Plenty of adjustments for the seats, including lumbar adjustment right there. There are several buttons to the left of the steering wheel, including your electric park brake right there. And here's another way to open and close your power trunk. Aside from the adjustments, the seat material on the Sonata Limited is leather, and you do also get decent upper and lower bolsters to hold you in place. It is a nice warm day, so I'm going to start the car right away. This steering wheel is wrapped in a nice leather and has its fair share of controls. Media stuff on the right, cruise control options on the left. You do also get paddle shifters, upshift on the right, downshift on the left, except that in eco driving mode, these are the brake regen adjustments, and in sport driving mode, these are paddle shifters for the 6-speed transmission. In the Sonata, you get a 12.3-inch fully digital instrument cluster, and right next to it, a second 12.3-inch center display. The two combined are called the panoramic curve display. And it might be hard to see on the camera, but it does follow a subtle curve concave towards the driver. as it comes around. And it's a nice looking display. Also, because this is a limited Sonata, we have a 12-inch color head-up display right there. By the way, this button right here does show you different options for the center display, which is nice. And within these options, twisting this dial here gives you a lot of other options for trip and tire pressure and all kinds of information. You do get lots of options on the center display, and it is easy to use, quick to react to your inputs. It all works very nice. It also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Beneath that, you have another screen that shows you your dual zone climate control. And because this is a limited Sonata, you have heated and ventilated seats. And it is digitally done, 3 levels for each. It's definitely a ventilated seat kind of day here. The heated seats are standard on the Sonata Hybrid, but the Limited is the only one that gets the ventilated seats. You do also get a 2-level heated steering wheel. That's also standard on the Sonata. Beneath that, you do get a couple of USB Type-C ports, as well as a cigarette style port right there. And this is a wireless smartphone charger. This is optionally available on the SEL Hybrid, standard on the Limited. Beneath that, you get a few more buttons right here, including your drive modes, which we'll talk about in just a second. A nice tray for a smartphone right there. A couple of deep cup holders and more storage down here. It's reasonably deep. Looking up, we have a couple of controls for lights and a power privacy panel for your panoramic sunroof. It's lovely. Where's the brindle, you might ask? It sticks out of the steering wheel column right here. You twist forward to put it in drive. You twist backwards to put it in reverse. Light touch puts it in neutral. And right here, there's a push button to get it back in park. All right, let's talk drive modes. You only get a few drive modes here: Eco, Sport, and My Drive. And to adjust My Drive, you come to the center display here, Setup, Vehicle, Drive Mode, My Drive. And see here, you can adjust the powertrain and the steering feel. For My Drive, I'm going to put the powertrain in Smart and the steering in Sport. That helps make the steering feel precise to me. There you have it. A close look at the updated 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, this one the Limited. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.